I started with the burp. I'm going to load this up to look at it, and the first thing I'm going to hear is me burping in my own ear.
Gross.
I know, and it came from, like, my chest.
You didn't have to describe it to me.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bedroom Brainiacs podcast. I should find game show music to put on the beginning of this episode since I did the game show voice.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You love to give yourself more work.
I do love to give myself more work. And I do love trying to work the algorithm to get more attention.
That's fair.
Which, interestingly, what a coincidence that I said that, as if I don't already know what I'm going to talk about. But apparently, a lot of people have been watching our Nutmaxxing short and our Nutmaxxing videos and our Nutmaxxing clips.
Do you think it's because I kept doing the Spider-Man thing?
I don't know. I think it's because people are just searching for Nutmaxxing and landing on our video. I think they come for the Nutmaxxing and stay for the Spider-Man.
Okay.
So this episode is going to be an attempt at capitalizing on our momentum with the Nutmaxxing video. So before we get
trying
into
to maximize the load.
Yes.
From Nutmaxxing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you could say this episode has consumed a lot of zinc. Because we're trying to maximize that load. And in the interest of trying to maximize that load, I'm going to try once again to kind of work the algorithm. Ready?
Sure.
Nutmaxxing, 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 Nutmaxxing. I think that's a good way to start every episode.
I don't want to be internet famous just because I've said Nutmaxxing more times than anyone else on the internet.
I got news for you. You kind of already are.
I kind of already am. It's true. Yeah.
But this episode, we're going to take another look at Nutmaxxing, another deep dive, if you will, into the gooey, sticky pool of Nutmaxxing for actually a very specific reason. So to give you guys a little bit of insight and background information into the planning of this episode, I saw the analytics and I saw that a lot of people were watching the Nutmaxxing short and the Nutmaxxing videos, and a lot in relation to what we normally get for our other videos. Whereas our shorts would get maybe 15, 20 views, the Nutmaxxing video, as of right now, has about close to 4,000, like 3,700 or something. And the numbers just shot up out of nowhere. And apparently it's because people are Googling Nutmaxxing. And a lot of our views are coming from Google. So I wanted to do another episode because clearly people are curious about this. And I went looking for different articles, different comments, just what other information on Nutmaxxing is out there. And I found an article that I'm not going to say where the article was, who wrote it, or give any information on, because I don't want to give anybody any kind of bad feedback. But I'm going to give bad feedback. The article was really mean.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was really judgy, and the whole conversation around Nutmaxxing, it's funny. I laugh about it in a kind, jokey way.
Well, we've chosen a funny way. Like the people who are doing this have chosen a funny way to describe it. Like calling it Nutmaxxing it's funny.
Tummy pancakes.
The subreddit being come bigger loads. Like it's funny, but there is a major difference between like chuckling or giggling, having a little go at like the concept and punching down on the people who are doing it. Yes.
And the article was there was a lot of that, and
it was snarky.
It was very snarky, and there were certain elements in the GQ article and in the community on r/come bigger loads. There were certain aspects of it that the article completely ignored. And it was very single-mindedly, this is something that people do, that men do when they're insecure about their masculinity. And let's laugh at them and make fun of them. Completely ignoring so many things Not the least of which is there were women in the subreddit who are like, I like big loads. And there are women in the GQ article who are like, I like this.
Yeah.
And a lot of men in the article who were like, I feel insecure because I don't think my load is good enough for other people.
Yeah. Well, and it also erases that, like, it is, like, the aesthetic of your sexual experience is something you're allowed to care about. Like, this idea, I think that sometimes we forget that it's not all or nothing. It's not all one thing or the other thing, right? As I've said, maybe more than once, there's not just one win condition. And this idea that, like, I don't know how to explain this. This idea that that there's either one good reason to come a big load or there's no good reason to come a big load is so, it just erases the nuance of experiencing your own sexuality.
It's an attempt to give an easy answer to a complex thing.
Yeah, and it really, the thing that bothered me about the article that was writing about the GQ article, the GQ article took a nuanced approach. It was, I talk a lot about curiosity on this podcast because I think curiosity is such a key element and tool to exploring, enjoying, and elevating your sexual experience. And the GQ article was curious. It was a person who went, I stumbled onto this and thought, what? And then answered that question.
Yeah.
And it really did, in my opinion, a very good job of highlighting reasons why people were doing this, motivations for it, whether or not they wanted to be doing it or they felt obligated to do it. I thought that distinction was really well highlighted in the GQ article. And then this other article was like finger pointy.
Yeah.
And it just felt, when you sent it to me and I read it, I said to you, I believe my exact phrasing was something along the lines of, oh, bro just wanted clicks.
Yeah.
Which I know what we're doing.
By the way, like, comment, and subscribe. Nutmaxxing.
Nutmaxxing. But the thing that felt rough about it, and this is something that I've talked about before, it is that piece where this idea that men feeling insecure in their masculinity is something to make fun of.
Yes, which if you do that, then why though? You know, and it's people have insecurities. People are allowed to have insecurities. And if someone expresses those insecurities and your reaction is to just shut that down, the insecurity just doesn't go away.
Right. How do you think people get secure?
Right.
And that is the thing that I find frustrating is, hey, here are people who are coming together in a space of community and they're going, I'm having this issue. There's another, it's interesting to me because there's another subreddit that specifically focuses on men. And I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's like men who are bald. It might just be the bald subreddit.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
But it's such an endearing place to see these men who are navigating insecurities around hair loss, and they go to this community and they go, I think it might be time to shave my head. I think I'm going to start being publicly bald. I'm nervous. And then all these other men come from different parts of this community and celebrate them and tell them it's going to be great. And then they post pictures after they do it and they get celebrated again. And it's this really beautiful thing.
And there is, I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's a lot of razzing, but it's all in good fun, and it comes from a place of love.
I love razzing as a love language.
Yeah, like, brother, it's time to let it go.
Yeah, there's like a collection of memes that they like...
The guy with the hand on the shoulder? Yeah.
There's one that's like the calls coming from inside the house. Like,
yeah.
It's a really sweet place where people are coming at this insecurity that is specifically about masculinity. That's not to say that women aren't insecure about hair loss, but
this subreddit
in particular is highlighting the ways in which men often feel insecure about hair loss, and and the response is very, very supportive. It's similar in Come Bigger Loads.
Absolutely. And what frustrated me about that article was it's someone from outside of the community, I assume, from the outside looking in without any kind of understanding, just kind of driving by, looking in the window and going, y'all are weird, dummies, and driving off.
Yeah, it really frustrates me. And it's such a perfect like encapsulation of how we treat sex socially in general.
Yes.
It's like if someone finds out you're not doing the vanilla sex the way that they think the vanilla sex should be done, the response is rarely, that sounds dope.
Right.
The response is rarely like, hey, nice. Like, the response is rarely like, I'm trying to find out what that'd be like.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find out what that'd be like. No, I never had that happen to me before. No.
If you know, you know.
If you don't, you should probably find out.
The response instead, it's really unfortunate. The response is so frequently like, ooh, what? It's some version of that face. And then we wonder why people experience shame, why people aren't getting sex education, why people aren't like doing things safely, why so many people end up at the ER with stuff in their butt because they don't know that a butt plug should have a flared base.
By the way, please don't steal this idea, but I had a great idea for an EDM band called Flared Bass BAS. Don't steal that. I'm gonna copyright it before I upload this. It's mine. Anyway, yes, I agree, and it reminds me of so many things that I do, and a thing I've noticed on my journey of becoming the person that I am. It's that the more comfortable I get with doing a thing, the more judgment I get from certain people who have some sort of insecurity triggered in them. And not everyone, but certain people who, if an insecurity is triggered, their response is, ooh, I don't like that. Let me try to tear you down. And it's for things that are innocent. Like, I love going to coffee shops with my computer and getting work done or writing. I like going for walks by myself, just going for just mental health walks. Stupid little walks for my stupid mental health.
You enjoy spending time by yourself?
Yeah, it's great for me, right? I enjoy sports. All these things that I enjoy aren't hurting anyone, but I get a lot of pushback from certain people, just judgment of, like you said, you go for walks, why?
Right.
Or you go to a coffee shop and just sit there with your computer, and I think about, what if I wasn't very secure in those things? That kind of reaction would really hit me in a way that I don't like. And it bothers me because I am secure in those things and I'm never going to change those things. But what about people who aren't as secure in whatever the thing is, and how would that affect them? And the person casting this judgment doesn't know that I'm not one of those people.
Right.
So
they don't care.
They don't care, right. So I think about that with nutmaxxing, where it's like someone takes the time and has the courage to speak up about this thing, even though in the article most of them are anonymous, but they're putting themselves out there. And then someone else is like shutting them down and trying to, like, it's just this thing where it's just like, why? I'm not trying to come a bigger load on you.
And it's boring. The part that really irritates me is judging people like that. It's boring. It's just boring. Do better. Like, be more interesting. I'm just, I have a fun life. I don't have time in my life. Like, I'm spending time right now doing this. I don't have free time. I don't have free time to listen to somebody be a judgy bitch. I just don't. It's boring. Say something interesting. Like, be engaged in the world around you. If you have so much time on your hands that you're going to be a prick about somebody who wants to come bigger loads, maybe go home and be a little curious about your own sex life. Leave them alone. Let them come. However much they want.
I wanted to add to that, but I was like, oh, you cooking right now, so I'm going to let you cook because I'm going to chop that up into a promo for this episode, and I just wanted to let you go because you were on a roll.
It really frustrates me. It is, and that's like from like at a personal level, like why? Why are you so boring that the best you can come up with is picking on somebody else?
Yeah, I have an immense amount of patience in general, but one of the things I don't have patience for is someone being a bully and someone punching down. I really, really don't like that. There was a podcast that I listened to, and he said, one of the guys on the podcast said he had an idea for a show that he wants to do. And on the show, they find people who leave negative comments on videos or just negative comments online, and you find out who they are, you find out where they live, and you go to their house, and the show is going to be called Say That Shit Now. So, yeah. And I think that's brilliant, but it speaks to a thing where there's just a lot of, and I think the internet has made this exponentially worse because you don't have to say things to someone's face. You can just say things behind this wall. Mm-hmm. And there's this disconnect where never mind the lack of consequences, which is what that podcast was implying, but you just stop seeing people as human beings. Mm-hmm. And you see them as just, this is a digital thing. And you may not even mean it. You may just be trolling, but you forget that there's another human being on the other side of this that is affected by this.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, did you want to add some more?
It's a thing to me, like the frustrating thing to me is that there is some content there of like, hey, there are maybe some current concerns about is what these people are doing, do they have enough information that they're doing it safely, or at least do they have enough information that they're mitigating as much risk as possible? Mm-hmm. And they understand the risk, but and are mitigating what they can and still choosing, like, consciously to do it anyway. Do they have the opportunity to kind of challenge some of these narratives that are informing it if they are doing this from a place of obligation rather than a place of like, I don't know, it might be cool to like see the Spider-Man ropes or whatever, right? Like there are a lot of people, it is clear that there are a lot of people who are intrigued by this, who find it interesting, who are curious about it, who maybe want to try it out and just see what it's like. And then there are people who are experiencing it as is written in the article and in the subreddit. It's coming from this place of like obligation to perform masculinity. Mm-hmm. If all anybody's doing is pointing fingers and laughing, those people are never getting information that they really need, so that they can come to a conclusion on their own of like, I kind of miss, like maybe they stopped doing it because they're like, screw this. Like, I am going to figure out how to deconstruct this masculine narrative that is harming me, that is making me feel like diminutive and uncomfortable in my body all the time. And then maybe later, if they have that opportunity, then they can always come back and come bigger loads later. Yeah. But it comes from a place of choice and like autonomy and empowerment rather than from this place of obligation. And if we interrupt that opportunity, we take away that opportunity as a society when we are cruel and critical and judgmental of people's experiences and insecurities.
So I want to go into a couple different topics here. I want to branch off into two different topics because when I suggested we do this follow-up and I suggested that we talk about this article that I found, I wanted to really speak to people who were not specifically nutmaxxers, although they can be included, but I just wanted to speak on people specifically in this sphere of sex and sexuality who may have been the recipients of some of this judgment that came from, like, similar to what came from this article. You know, I imagine people, let's say, for example, someone wants to be a nutmaxxer. Mm-hmm. Someone is... yes, someone is really interested in nutmaxxing.
Okay.
And they see this article and they're like, oh my gosh, like there's a whole community of people. I thought I was the only one. But they're so afraid to really embrace that because they also see the feedback either in comment sections on YouTube videos or this article in particular, or even just discussions in other places that are, you know, come bigger loads. Maybe they don't have Reddit, so they don't have this community access to this community. I want to talk about people like that, or talk to people like that, and kind of, what do you do? What do you do if you had a client who came to you and said to you, I am really into this thing and I feel like this will be fulfilling for me, but I feel guilty because, or I feel shame because everything that I've seen about this says it's bad and it's worthy of ridicule. What do I do? Should I just not experience it? Should I not explore it and just, I don't want to be ridiculed by strangers or people close to me. What if people close to me find out?
Well, people want an answer to this question, right? Like, the idea here is like, okay, now we're all waited on bated breath and Julie's going to give us the step-by-step instructions. I'm not.
People are going to learn this about us. People are going to, and I think that's brilliant.
I'm not, but because it's going to be unique to the person. Some people, I think often in pseudotherapy, like the reels and the, you know, when they do the thing where they look into the camera and they turn on the therapy voice and they start to lean in and they go, if you've ever experienced thing, here's what you should do. And then they give you some bullshit explanation that is like, just, you know, cut everybody in your family off, or, you know, do big dramatic thing.
I get, our algorithms are different, by the way, because I get, girl, if he wanted to, he would leave him, period. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But, like, it's kind of the same thing, right? It's still just this thing of, like, it's always just a one-win condition sort of situation. When that happens, a lot of times what is being erased in all these experiences, in all these, like, fake instructions where they give you, like, just do this and you'll be better. Mm-hmm. It always erases that there are consequences, there are outcomes to any action you take. Every action has an outcome. Mm-hmm. And so part of the work, part of sitting and sorting and figuring is going, okay, what if someone did find out? Mm-hmm. And they were grossed out by it? Okay, I can't control that. Is that something I can be okay with? Can I figure out how to be okay with being ridiculed by strangers?
And I think that's something that I talked about last episode of, or maybe it was a couple episodes ago, about a therapist not giving you the answers, but asking you the right, like giving you new questions. Mm-hmm. Those are questions that I feel some people would never think to ask because so many things seem automatic. You said, what if someone finds out? Can I be okay with that? That's not a question in some people's minds. I know for me, it wasn't at one point, for certain things, that wasn't a question. Mm-hmm. It's, I am not okay with that, period. There's no question about, can I be okay with it? Like, no, the thought of maybe finding a way to be okay with it never crossed my mind. It's just, this is terrible, avoid it.
Right, and that's how it feels in the body because it feels so scary and your body's trying to help you. And we don't realize that we can wait, right? We can go, hold on, Okay, no saber-toothed cats. No giant lightning bolts. No person with a knife. No earthquakes, no natural disasters at the moment. I'm good. Okay. I just feel afraid. Feeling afraid and being in danger are different things. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that they don't happen at the same time sometimes. Right. But generally speaking, we have a second that we can use to check. And if what we find out is, oh, I'm just feeling afraid, but I'm actually safe. Safe being a concept that we need to define. Because sometimes safe includes somebody ridiculing us.
Yes.
And we don't want to hear that. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear, oh, I'm safe even though I'm being bullied for having curly hair.
Yeah.
I'm safe even though I'm being bullied for being queer, right? Like, we don't want to hear that. And we're not always safe when those things are happening, right? Like, there were certainly times in my life when I was categorically unsafe when that bullying was happening.
Right.
But there were other times when I was just being bullied and I was safe. I was okay.
So, do you think, you talk about being afraid and that not being the same as you're in danger. Would you say that if you're trying to work through some things and you're doing something new, whether it be just reacting a different way to a situation or being more open about a thing or whatever, a client comes to you with an issue and you suggest or you kind of like nudge them towards doing something that they've always wanted to do, but they've just been afraid to take steps they've been afraid to take. Mm-hmm. Would you say that it's almost, and if you can put a percentage on it, what is the percentage that they're going to be afraid? They're going to feel these feelings of fear and anxiety when they do a thing?
Well, they're going to feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And uncomfortable can often be conflated with a feeling of not being safe.
Right.
And that can be really hard to decipher. And so often that's the thing that we're working on. That's the thing that we're trying to get to. Where it's like, okay, you want to try thing, but thing feels genuinely scary. Okay, well, what's sub thing? Does that still feel genuinely scary, or does that just feel really uncomfortable? What's sub thing 2? Or 2 sub thing? Sub 2 thing? Whatever 2 steps back would be. Yeah. Does that feel genuinely scary, or does that just feel pretty uncomfortable? And sometimes we got to back up 4 or 5 steps and get to a place where it's like, okay, you want a short haircut, but you're really afraid. You feel really afraid and really uncomfortable about how your family members will respond to you wearing a less feminine hairstyle. Okay, well, if you don't feel ready to cut everything, shave your head, like you want to, you're telling me you want to shave your head, can you cut 2 inches off instead of 1 inch the next time you go get your hair cut? What would that feel like?
Right.
How scary would that feel? 1 to 10. Right? And then we go, well, what about 3 inches? How scary would that feel? 1 to 10. Right? And so what we're looking for when we're doing that is just trying to find that space between totally comfortable and hiding in people always talk about getting outside your comfort zone. And it's like, look, it's comfortable in there for a reason. You don't have to be outside of it all the time. You can sort of push on the edges. And if you think about it like it's a soap bubble, if you work with someone or are really conscious with how you work with yourself, you're really honest and gentle with yourself, you can do that thing where if you dip your hand in soap and you have a soap bubble, you can keep the soap bubble intact and just kind of reach outside of it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that visual working for other people? Maybe?
It does, yeah.
And that allows you more space to move around while you're keeping your sense of security intact. Mm-hmm. But what people often do is what anxiety often does to like externalize the anxiety. Anxiety will go, it's going to be the worst thing that ever happened. You're going to do thing and it's going to be the worst thing that ever happened. And it's like, we're not even at thing yet. We're at sub 3 thing. We're not there. Tell anxiety to sit down. We know we can't make it go away. Just, it can stay. It's here. I get it. Hey, buddy, I appreciate you looking out for me. Thanks. I got it. Just hop in the passenger seat, right? And practicing that. And you got to practice it at sub 3 and sub 2 and sub 1. And then you're at thing and all of a sudden you've shaved your head and that feels great.
Right. I know how my brain works and my anxiety works. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm not the only one who would feel this way. And the reason why I brought this up is because we talk about that ridicule coming from others. And I think that can also translate to that negative self-talk. Mm-hmm. And you use the short haircut as an example. And I'm imagining if someone, let's say they don't do the 1 inches, 2 inches, 3 inches. Let's say they just shave their head.
They go for it.
They go for it all the way.
Okay.
Well, now something as simple as walking down the street would cause them, would feel uncomfortable, would feel afraid. Mm-hmm. And that feeling afraid to walk down the street, to walk into a coffee shop, I know that for me, I could get in my own head and go, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm afraid to walk down the street. I am so dumb. Mm-hmm. And I think that just having an expectation that which is what I think that you said, if you're doing something new and you kind of press outside of that comfort zone a little bit, you're going to be uncomfortable. It's not, and you may experience that it's fear, but it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you.
Well, and I think, one of the things that we often struggle with is thoughts come very quickly. And they arrive almost in tandem with our emotions, and we get stuck in this space of like, I feel this way because I'm thinking this way because I feel this way, da-da-da-da, and we get all, right? It's bad, it sucks, it feels icky in there. And but what we try to do is logic our way out. Mm-hmm. It feels icky in here, and we're trying to logic our way out, and It just doesn't work. And it's like, okay, I'm dumb. Well, I'm dumb today. That's okay. Right? Like,
that's a point that people don't get to. I'm dumb today and it's okay.
The spiral is that if I'm dumb, it's bad.
Yes.
And the spiral is if I'm embarrassed, it's bad. If I'm scared, it's bad. It's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Guess what? Bad doesn't mean anything. It's made up. It's fake. And when we start to realize that bad is just stamped on wherever somebody wants to make a judgment, we can go back to what I was saying earlier. Judging is so boring. What a boring way to live life. I say this. I want to insert a caveat because I think it's really easy to sit over here as a person who's gone on the journey and done an immense amount of work and has to constantly be doing work so that my work, like my stuff, is not in the therapy room. It's very easy for me to be like, who cares if someone doesn't like me? But I do care. I think that it gets missed that, we say things like, okay, someone's going to ridicule you because you want to come bigger loads. That guy wrote that article. Who's that guy? Whatever. Right? And it's very easy to just hand wave it from a distance. But it does hurt. Mm-hmm. And this is tied to what you were saying about like, have the expectation that it's going to be scary. Like go in knowing that you might feel a feeling and also trusting yourself. Oh, here we go. I'm talking about self-trust again, guys. Trusting yourself that you can handle that emotion, that you can handle feeling uncomfortable, that you can care for yourself and that you're worthy of that care.
Yeah, and it's got to be so difficult to know that nutmaxxing exists and to consider it. And then if you're having any kind of sexual encounter, then again, how my anxiety works, I imagine someone going, this person that I'm with, how do they feel about nutmaxxing? Do they like big loads, small loads? Am I going to come too much? Am I not going to come enough? And now you're stressed and
now I'm anxious and I don't know if I'm going to be able to come at all.
Yeah, and if you do come, what is it going to? Is it going to be enough? Will it be too much? Should I try to cut it off midway through?
Well, and I think you're touching on something else, which is sort of the over-information of it all. Mm-hmm. Whereas sometimes you learn too much, and then you're like, oh, I've got new things to worry about. Yeah. I wasn't even worried. I didn't even know this was a thing I could be worried about, and now I'm worried. And it's yeah, that happens too. And the obstacle is very much this way of thinking. And the thing is we've been modifying our bodies to perform sex forever, for as long, whether that's for birth control purposes or performance purposes, to maximize how much cum we're shooting out, whether that's it's interesting to me, the way the conversation is different about squirt and about these cum bigger loads guys, because we've got an entirely different sort of perspective on squirting, and the idea that you want monsoon season, and that's something that everybody should be aspiring for, and that is not. There isn't really the same drive-by judgment of women who are I want to squirt. How do I squirt? What do I need to do to be able to squirt? Right. Which is there are things that can be done to increase the likelihood that will happen that are not supplements. And then also there are probably really at the end of the day, be hydrated. So, a supplement is water.
Did you know there's a soda called Squirt?
Is it still out? Is it still?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think so. I've never tried it. I'm curious though.
It's just a 7-Up rip.
No,
right?
I think it's grapefruit soda.
Ooh.
Next episode, I'm going to have someone say, and we can toast to drinking Squirt.
Sounds good.
Okay.
But I think that to me, there is just this piece of it, to some extent, that is, we don't talk about sex socially. Mm-hmm. It's not a conversation.
I agree with that so much. And I agree. I feel like you're right. It's not a conversation. We don't talk about it much, but we do get messaging about it. And generally, the people who are talking about it the most are the people who aren't giving the best information out there.
The people who are talking about it the most are the people who want to, how do I want to say this? They want to reinforce the rules that make them comfortable.
Yes.
So they talk about it in these ways that are this is what is true about sex. And it's who are you?
I made the joke earlier about what my algorithm is like. And it's if he wanted to, he would, girl, leave him. But there's also, I don't get this in my algorithm, but I see it because I do research for this. But it's the corner of the internet where it's the men speaking to other young men about this is how you're supposed to be a man. Mm-hmm. And it often involves discussions about sex, but what we're doing is so important because I'm not seeing a lot of this. I'm seeing a lot of conversations. So I feel like there's two types of content that I found very, very common. There is the straight academic content, which is very important, very valid, but it's not very entertaining. And then there's the entertaining content, which is very surface level. And some of it is problematic, but I'm not talking about the ones the ones that are deeply problematic. I'm talking about the ones that are very surface level. Without
it's surface level. By being surface level, you have to brush with broad strokes, and so you can really so you can really only talk about things that are these are the well-known beliefs about sex. You can't get into nuance because then you're not surface level anymore.
Right. Which is great. Like, I think there's a place for that.
Yeah.
However, I think there's another void that I hope that we can fill where it just kind of combines those two and gets a little more in depth and does more than the surface level stuff.
Yes, that's my goal. I was thinking, as you were talking about this, when we were talking about the surface level thing, I was thinking about the Rory Mall conversation where they were talking about Cameron.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Talking about and Dome.
Say word. And we can get, and then we got it all night.
But like, what I thought was interesting about that, like, besides pointing out that that's such a straight, like, who has that conversation?
No one is going to understand this reference.
No, not at all. But
Yeah.
what I thought was interesting about it was when the two of them on the podcast were talking about, like, whether or not, like, it became a conversation about, like, whether or not there was an expectation or whether or not it was surprising if you got head when you hit. And, you know, they're just kind of talking about that from this place of their own, like, they talk about it from a very own personal experience place. But I thought it was just really, like, to me, it was like, oh, here's some of that surface level stuff. And in my head, I went, and here's an opportunity where if it's me and you, we have this opportunity to kind of go a little more in depth at this idea of, like, there are expectations with hookups and there are these, like, unspoken ideas. Like, why is it weird? And Dome say word. Why is that weird? And it's like, well, when is oral a surprise? Is a question. And, like, being able to highlight that there are these unspoken social expectations that people are struggling with and navigating, and that they show up in these unexpected ways, like in music. And that to me is what's really, really interesting, and, like, the place where, like, we have the most meat on the bone. And also opportunities like this one that we have here where we're talking about nutmaxxing and we're talking about the ways in which there is nuance there, that there are people who really get hot from experiencing being cummed on.
I can't stop thinking about, wait, came on? Cummed on?
I think it's came on, but it's...
No, it's gotta be cummed on.
Cummed on.
But now we're saying it too much, and the word doesn't make any sense anymore. Cummed on? Cummed on? Cummed on?
Cummed on sounds like a place in like a fantasy novel now.
It does. But
the kingdom of Cummed on.
I am King Nutmax. I am ruler over the kingdom of Cummed on.
We've lost the thread entirely.
Yes, the thread is completely gone. There was another thread that I wanted to do just a brief peek at. I said earlier there were two things that I wanted to talk about. And we talked about the people who are just, who have to hear this ridicule about, if people are interested in nutmaxxing, they have to hear this ridicule, and it's awful. Now I kind of want to talk about the people who were doing the ridiculing. Jerks, complete jerks. But I want to talk about, I feel like in that group of people who are doing the ridiculing, there are a lot who are just, some people are just jerks.
There's meanies, yeah.
Be a jerk, be a meanie. I also feel like there's some people who are...
Parrots,
and also there's hope for them. They're meanies, but there's hope that they can stop being meanies.
Well, I would say that that's the parrots, right? They're just sort of like, they've been marinating in these narratives that it's like, make fun of people who do weird sex stuff.
Yeah.
And they're marinating in these narratives that, like, if people feel insecure, poke at their insecurities. They're marinating in these narratives, and nobody's really challenging them or suggesting that, like, maybe that actually sucks, and maybe that's part of why you don't feel very good.
Yeah, and it's like, that's great that you said that, because this can apply to so many other things. But in this instance especially, if you're just dunking on people who want to nutmax, and you're just have nothing but bad things to say about them. I don't think people, it's a chicken or the egg thing. Are you saying this because you're miserable, or are you saying this so much that now you're just, all this negativity that you're putting into these other people is starting to kind of bring you down without realizing it? You feel so, your mood is so down and you're so bitter because you just speak negativity constantly. Mm-hmm. So it's a chicken or the egg thing. So if you what would you say if you had, pretend I'm your client.
Okay.
And I come to you and I say, hey, I've been I've been on these nutmaxxing forums. I'm on r/comebiggerloads. I'm on the comment section of this GQ article, and I'm just making fun of people who do this. And I have a friend group. We get together. We make jokes about. We make fun of people who want to nutmax. We just make fun of people in general. I'm kind of starting to realize that this isn't fun for me anymore. Mm-hmm. But my friend group, that's what we do. That's our way of bonding. That's what we've always done. And now it's becoming a thing where I feel I'm not enjoying this anymore. But all of my friends do this. What do I do?
If I'm pretending you're my client.
I'm your client, yes.
Like, the first thing that I'm doing is like validating that self-awareness. Mm-hmm. Lots and lots and lots of like supporting that self-awareness and like, tell me about the journey to getting there. What did you start noticing you were feeling? Doing some somatic stuff. Lots of stuff's happening. But ultimately, this is not that dissimilar to what I was talking about earlier, where actions have outcomes. And it is what you're actually talking about is very likely going to be grief therapy, because this person is going to lose that friend group.
I'll give you an example of, I just thought of an example of how this popped up for me as your client. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what my name is, but my name, we'll just say my name is Tyrese. So I have this friend group, and we're all making fun of people who nutmax, and it's hilarious. But then I started dating someone, and I mentioned nutmaxxing in passing, and they said, "Oh, I love huge loads, and I care about this person so much that I want to maximize, like, I want to bust a scary movie nut for this person who I love." Yeah. So I want to join the nutmaxxing community, and I've been looking, and now that I've started to connect with people in this community, they're great people. They're like, I like them, yeah. But my friends keep making these nutmaxxing jokes. Like, they don't even, they say nutmaxxers with a hard R. And I'm starting to see how wrong it is. What do I do?
Again, I think this would translate into some grief counseling, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it would be ultimately, right? It would likely be grief counseling, right? This is a person who is recognizing that they have grown and changed, and, maybe some of the work is figuring out, like, do you feel safe? Like, can you build enough self-trust and safety for yourself that you can, like, invite these friends to know this about you? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, and it's like, well, why do you want to be friends with them, right? And, like, obviously, if I'm doing therapy, that's not necessarily the way that question's being asked, or, right. Like, it would be the client's work to guide to that place, and if they don't go there, then they don't go there. I'm not going to, I don't drag people kicking and screaming to places they didn't ask to go.
Right.
That's not what therapy is. But, I think in general, that's the thing that in the larger scope of things, it's like, expand your community. Mm-hmm. is a pretty great opportunity to figure out that the people are people. Yeah. And being cruel to them isn't really doing anybody any favors.
So stop hanging out with people that don't make you feel good.
Truly.
And sometimes you just outgrow people, and sometimes people grow in different directions. So if your friends...
Talk about passive and active investment, right? Like, you don't have to wish them ill. You can just wish them well from a distance.
Yeah.
You can be passively invested in their well-being and not have to subject yourself to their bullshit. That's allowed.
Yeah, if you're friends with people, if you have a friend group, and your friend group has been saying the N-word repeatedly, you don't have to continue being their friend if you are the only friend of... you are the only N-word friend in the group.
You don't have to be their friend even if you're not black. You should maybe consider, like, do I want to be around people who think that it's okay to say this in an all-white space? I'm just saying. It's just something to consider.
We're just both saying it. Yeah, you
We're
don't have
just
to.
saying it.
Yeah, if someone says it, you can
you
stop.
don't have to.
Yeah.
You can just leave.
Yeah, you can just leave. You don't have to be their friend.
Yeah.
You can call them out on it if you want, or you could just leave. You don't have to. It's not okay.
It's not.
It's
Don't say
bad.
it.
It's always bad.
Yeah.
Don't say it. Even with an A, just don't say it.
Just don't say it. It's easy to not say it. But I think one of the takeaways that I hope comes from this conversation is the thing that I have said a couple of times today about, like, there are outcomes to actions. Like, that happens. And so when you're curious and you want to start exploring things, like, it's reasonable that you feel hesitant, and it's reasonable that the way in which this stuff gets talked about, because we have such a sex negative narrative around, like, in floating around our society, it does make it feel scary to be curious about your sexuality. Those narratives are like, you're not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to perform sex in the way that we've taught you to perform sex, which is what you've seen in the movies and in porn. And if you're doing it differently than, like, the way they do it in the straight pornos, then you're doing it wrong. And that's bad. And also, don't talk about it. And don't tell your friends about what you're doing. And it's like, well, okay, crud. I feel really anxious and weird about ever having any sort of sexual curiosity. It's like, it is normal for that to feel weird, and it is normal for that to feel scary. Figuring out that you are still safe and taking those risks, right? Mitigating the risk, but still being willing to take them sometimes to kind of say, like, hey, I want to talk about things. I saw a post on the internet recently that was about platonic friendships and increasing touch in platonic friendships. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was a really wonderful post, particularly, like, in these cold, dreary winter months when we're all sort of isolated, and when there is such a high level of isolation and loneliness in our culture right now. That idea of, like, acknowledging, like, the advice was really wonderful. It was about, like, acknowledging that it is an awkward interaction, to be like, hello, friend, we don't hug much, but I would like to hug more. Is that something that you would be down for? And it's like, yes, that's going to feel awkward. If you've never had that interaction and you're being vulnerable because you're expressing that you'd like more physical touch, like, that's going to feel awkward. And the expectation that it doesn't feel awkward, I think, is part of what creates that weird feedback loop that gets us stuck and paralyzed.
I think I will, my final statement on this will be kind of an example of that, I think, or a metaphor, analogy. I don't know which one it is. I'll have to Google it. But I think about people who live in New Jersey, or people who grew up in cities, New York City, Philly, people who have never owned a car, or people who live in New Jersey who legally aren't allowed to pump their own gas. Mm-hmm. You may have someone who is entering their 30s who has never had to pump gas before. Mm-hmm. And they move to a different state, and they don't know how to pump gas. They're nervous about it because they've never had to do it. Yeah. Of course, pumping gas to me is something that's so simple. I can do it in my sleep. It's not a big deal. I also have done it all the time. If someone's never done it before, it's going to feel weird and scary. You're going to think you're doing something wrong. But you also, you're not going to just... if you're on a road trip somewhere and you're running out of gas, you got to get more gas.
Yes.
And I think about you with what you do for your work, you having these conversations is getting gas. Gotten gas over and over and over and over again, but there's so many people who live in New Jersey, figuratively speaking, who've never had to pump their own gas. And a lot of these conversations and a lot of these interactions are going to feel awkward and weird and uncomfortable, but that's normal.
Well, and so I like your analogy, but I wanna kind of also fiddle with it a little bit.
Fiddle away.
Well, so people who are watching this that know me on a personal level will know that I am not conflict averse. Mm-hmm. Would you say that's a fair descriptor?
Sure.
What would you say?
You're about all the smoke. You welcome all the smoke.
Yeah, I stand on business. And the thing is, when people know that about me, I have gotten feedback at different times where people will say like, I'm so uncomfortable with conflict. I don't know how you do it. Like, it's so easy for you. It's so easy for you, right? That's the thing people always say. It's so easy for you, or like, you like it, right? These are the things that they say. That's not true. Mm-hmm. It's not easy for me. It's not something that I like. I feel vulnerable in those moments. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. I have practiced it, mm-hmm. and I have practiced being able to sit in that discomfort and stay and do the hard thing that is being conflict. And it's not, I also have the benefit of the ADHD impulse control thing. So I usually don't, I initiate the conflict and then my body catches up and goes, oh, well, you're already here, mm-hmm. right? And so like part of what happened for me in that process was that I had to learn how to get comfortable because I don't have the impulse control to not be in conflict. But I think when I think about it, I think about the vulnerability of conflict. It is a vulnerable moment. I am vulnerable when I am in conflict. Vulnerability always feels uncomfortable. It's sort of a key component of being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. If you're safe, then you're not vulnerable. If you're vulnerable, then you're vulnerable mm-hmm. to harm, to hurt. That's part of what is in the definition of vulnerability. And so there's this idea that like, you will get to a point where you will never have any somatic response to the thing. That I just waltz in and my heart rate doesn't go up. I don't feel the adrenaline running through my body. I don't get red. I get hot, right? Like mm-hmm. my chest and my face gets red when I'm in conflict. That I won't raise my voice. That I'll just be this calm, cool cucumber. But that's not what happens. I still have the whole somatic experience. I'm still vulnerable. It's still uncomfortable. It's just that I've practiced that experience. And so I think often when we think about this idea of like, I want to do the thing, but it feels scary, so I can't do the thing. It's like, well, it might always feel scary.
And I can amend my mm-hmm. my gas station mm-hmm. example or pumping gas example. Is it like, would a more accurate example be, sometimes I have to get out and pump gas when it's really cold and raining and I'm really uncomfortable. And that's not fun. I don't enjoy it, but I know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting gas in the early 2000s when the DC sniper is out. So I'm like doing zigzags and my heart rate's up and I'm ducking because I don't know what's going to happen, instead of sitting in the car in the comfort of my car, windows rolled up. I'm not quite as worried. Someone comes up and is like, how much you want? And I tell him and he pumps it. So it sounds like what you're saying is like, it's just because you practice it and you learn how to do it, there isn't going to be a day when some of the things you do are suddenly just, oh, I feel nothing.
Why would you want to feel nothing?
True.
And the thing that I think is essential here is thinking about the fact that the anxiety tells you that the right way for it to work is you'll feel nothing. Mm-hmm. The anxiety is what's lying. Mm-hmm. The anxiety is what's wrong. It's a false thought. It's not a false experience. Mm-hmm. And so the reality being like, I am going to feel something because I'm a human being and I'm tangible. There's stuff in here. Emotions happen. And so to me, it's this thing that I think is really essential and important, which is like, sometimes it's going to be a 2 on the discomfort scale, and sometimes it's going to be a 7. And when I practice, it's more likely that it will more likely be a 2. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's still going to be a 7. Mm-hmm. And if I know that, and I don't see that as it being wrong or bad, if I just kind of go, wow, the level of discomfort that I'm feeling mm-hmm. suggests that maybe this is really important to me, mm-hmm. suggests this really matters, suggests I'm feeling really vulnerable, and that's a very human thing to feel, not bad or wrong, just human, then it doesn't have to stop you. It doesn't, because you're not doing, like, you don't have to think, I'm doing something wrong, I shouldn't do this. You can just go, wow, this is important to me. I'm like, my body is telling me based on this like response that I'm having that I'm invested in this.
Right. So I think, yeah. Yeah. I think what I was kind of referring to was something when I gave my first gas station analogy.
I think it's an analogy.
Yeah, I was meaning more along the lines of your comfort with having certain conversations or just saying certain things, mm-hmm. because so much of what you discuss is normalized for you, whereas a lot of people, it's like, you don't say the word sex, you can't do that.
Oh yeah.
What? And that's kind of what I meant, but I think it's important to expand upon that like you did and go, well, yeah, no, okay, I'll say the word sex in public, but there's other things that will... it's not fair to say I feel nothing about XYZ thing, even though I've practiced it, even though I went to school for this. Like, I still feel feelings. It's just that I've learned to manage them in certain situations, and that's a more realistic thing to aspire to.
Yeah. Well, and I do think like it's not one or the other, right? It's both and, mm-hmm. a surprise. Where there are things that just become second nature. There are things that you just kind of go like, it stops. There's no longer a red light at the point where you go, this isn't a topic I'm allowed to talk about.
Yeah. Right?
That's definitely true for me.
It may just be a flashing yellow.
Right. And that's a thing that I think is worth recognizing, is like, it is more of a flashing yellow, because you kind of go like, do I want to have this conversation with my aunt?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all right. And then I just have it, right? But like that, it is a flashing yellow versus being like, well, I can't bring that up at the family function. And it's literally just my job. Like, just talking about like, oh yeah, like I'm doing a lot of sex therapy right now and it's going really well. That's just my job.
Right.
Like, yeah. Right. So it's a flashing yellow of like, do I want to open this door?
And then someone else opens the door with complete misinformation, and you're like, "Oh, now the light's green."
Well,
all right, so
green light, yes. But there are things where it's just like, to me, I go, well, my scope of normal mm-hmm. is immense, and other people's are very narrow, and that's just an exposure reality. Like, that's just a reality of exposure, and so to me, I don't always you're right that there is just like a practice of like the exposure creates the normal, and so then I'm just out here doing what I believe to be normal, and then I might have people look at me like I have lobsters crawling out of my ears. And that's part of the practice as well, right? Is going, okay, that person doesn't like me. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a bummer, actually. I feel sad about that.
Right.
And I can be okay with it, right? Again, coming back to that place of practice and being like, I do feel things. It is a bummer. I wanted them to like me. I want people to like me. It's nice when people like me. But not everybody's going to like me. How do I get okay with that? And how do I feel comfortable about that? And can both things be true? I wanted them to like me and I'm bummed they don't, and it's okay.
And I think that's a great place to end and to bring it back to the original topic. If you're a nutmaxxer or a prospective nutmaxxer and people don't like that, it's gonna happen and it's okay.
They don't have to. You're not coming on them.
I think that's a great response to someone. If you're interested in nutmaxxing and someone judges you, just go, I'm not coming on you. So I think that's great. I think we accomplished a lot with this episode. We definitely went into some directions I didn't anticipate, but that I loved. So I like this kind of loose going into an episode, not knowing exactly what we're going to talk about. I think we did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And
I do desperately want you all to like me. Please please subscribe, please share.
Please. It helps.
Thank you.
And also, before we get out of here, I just want to say 3 more things. Nutmaxxing, and nutmaxxing.
Also, nutmaxxing.
Bye.
Bye.